Hi, Leah. This is your lab instructor, April Biss. I thought I would just send you this video link. It might be better to give you this feedback so I'm not writing it all down. So hopefully this is useful for you. So I do not have any of your images. That's why there's little question marks being shown here. It's trying to link them up, and that's fine. Just kind of ignore that. I just wanted to go over a couple of things with you that I think need to be pointed out so that you can get this going and have a really nice portfolio piece. Okay, and I know that Sarah was helping you out with laying this out in InDesign, so you did a great job with trying to get this all together. Some big things that I noticed is you actually have your file set up with facing pages, and how I know that is because you have, these two pages are not on top of each other. So typically we like to take off facing pages when you're not dealing with, say, a cover for a magazine and you're just doing, say, like an ad or a brochure like this. So just go up to your file menu and go to document setup to change this. Where it says facing pages, just uncheck that. You can see in the preview what happens when you do that. Click OK. Okay, so your margins are set. I'm going to kind of, you have your specs within your project. So I'm going to just move on from there. Okay, so this is supposed to be your front panel. This is your back panel. And then this would be your flap that you would kind of open up to fully experience your inside, which is here. Your 3 panels on the inside. Okay, so the first thing, and I'm not sure if maybe you have this here and I'm not seeing it. It's your kayak image. Okay, so you have 2 kayak images. I would say focus maybe on just one image. It might just simplify the look of your brochure. I would just go ahead and bleed this off from the bottom and all the way to the top and the side when you do that. So just kind of pull your box out, go to fitting, and then choose fitting, object fitting, fill frame proportionately, and that should fill that up. And you can always double click in there to reorient your image, say if part of it's not showing. So if you choose this image, I would just do it so it's just one image. It's nice, it's a focal point. It's just something that you might want to think about doing. Another thing that you could do too, let's see how big this image is. You could actually use this whole entire image, if it's big enough, for the entire brochure. Let's see. Oh, okay, it's not going to show much on that side. So I probably would use a different image if you did that. I was going to say you can have like a background image on your other panel, so it's just more visually interesting. Okay, so here's a nice spot for a logo. I would definitely set your logo, get your rectangle frame box and set your logo to about this size. I wouldn't say anything bigger than that is needed, and just make sure it's that it's centered on your, on your panel. So that would be your logo, and make sure that it works on your background that you're applying it to. So if you need to, let's say your logo is all really dark, maybe you have this same hue blue in this and you're using this image, I would just revert that out to white, your actual logo, to make it work. It also, there's also contact information, which you could put on the bottom here, or you could put at the very bottom of your back of your, I would say probably just put it on the back part of your panel, just because it's just easier, not to worry about so much stuff on your actual cover. The cover panel is really to visually entice people. So it should be simple, and there should be one big focal point that's beautiful, that really kind of sums up what this experience is about. So it pulls you in to want to learn more. So you shouldn't have too much stuff, but definitely the logo. And I believe there's a subhead saying about kayak rentals. Make sure you're putting that subhead in as well, or headline as well. And then again, contact information, which you don't have, put it here. All right, so for your brochure, I'm going to show you something really kind of cool that you can try. If you go up to, let me see here. This might help you with kind of figuring out where the sectioning is in each fold. If you want to, let's see, I think it's under document setup. Nope, it's under text frame options. Okay, so you would just go, sorry, I kind of forget where that is. Okay, so go up to object when you're in InDesign and then go to text frame options and you're going to choose where it says column, you're going to choose 3. Oh, just make sure you don't have anything selected like I just did. Just click off of everything, object, text frame options again, and you can hit preview to see how that works. So if you click OK, well, you know what? Let me hold on a second. Let me see my pages. I think I have my, just be aware of which page you're on that you're applying this to as well. Because you're going to have to do it with the other one if you don't have it selected. 3. Okay. Oh, you know what? I think I'm showing you your actual pages here. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. My apologies. Hold on one second. I'm showing you how to make 3 columns. So you could divide this up into 3 columns, just how I showed you. I'm trying to get your guides to show your 3 columns. And it is under somewhere here. Hold on one second. Type layout. Oh, margins and columns. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so forget what I just said. Sorry to confuse you. Go up to layout, margins and columns. This is where you would set your columns. I was setting it for your actual text box instead. I was kind of confusing myself. So go to margins and columns. And again, that was under layout, margins and columns. And see where it says columns, set that to 3 and click OK. And then do the same to page 1. If you have them both selected and change this, it'll change both. Okay, so now let me hide your guides so you can see what happened here. Show guides. Let me unlock these. Okay. I'm just going to delete your blue guides out here so you can just see what I'm talking about. Okay. So see how these pink lines appeared? And I'll just pull everything off real quick so you can see it. So these are where your folds are going to be. When you set that, you kind of know where your folds are going to be. So what I would do is just pull these vertical lines and center them in the middle. Oops. Of these 2 lines. And that way you kind of know where the fold is of your trifold. Okay. So let me do that again. So I don't want to misalign your stuff. Okay. So now you can see that even though we've bled this off on all sides where the red line is, we still need to push this over if we want that to meet up to where the fold is. So we just pull that over and everything else looks good. Okay, so that's exactly where it'll fold. So what you want to make sure is that you have equal space from this side, from this blue margin guide that I just created over here to this blue margin guide that I just moved over there. And just kind of make sure that this this type box is centered. And what's nice, if you have, and it looks like you already have this set, your snap to guides and smart guides, if you hold this and drag it over, it's going to kind of tell you what's centered without even having to really kind of, you know, position anything any differently. Okay. The next thing that I noticed is your copy. Let's see here. Okay, you have your copy set. Okay, so how you lay out your copy in a copy box is you should have it all together. Not, this shouldn't be in a separate box. This should be in this same box as this copy. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is I'm going to highlight that copy and hit Command C to copy it. And then, oh, sorry, my dog. I'm going to delete that. Sorry about my dog. And then I'm going to paste it, Command V. So it should be within the same copy box. And that's just so your edits will be consistent, and it will be a whole heck of a lot easier to adjust your type in here instead of having all these separate boxes and then, you know, having to you know, make sure the spacing is consistent. So I'm going to paste this in here too. Okay, so copy paste. And then once you, I think that's it. I don't know if you, did you paste these in separately? Yes, you did. Okay. Yeah, take all of your subheads, copy, oop, just get rid of that. Take your type tool, put it in the beginning. Oops. What am I doing here? Something weird. I'm going to send this whole thing to back here. Hold on one second. It's just having trouble selecting. Okay, there we go. All right, and then we can paste that in there. Same thing with this one. Copy, delete. So this will take a little bit of time, but this is how you should be doing it. So doing it the right way is important because you don't want to take too much time when you're editing. Okay. The next thing I noticed is some of your your subheads were left aligned and some were centered. I would keep this really consistent. So what I mean by that is choose one or the other, and then everything else stays the same. So, you know, if you want to center this information, that's fine. Just make all of your other subheads the same way. Okay. So choose what you want to do and then keep it consistent. And that's through the entire brochure. It's just like your body copy for the most part, unless it's like, you know, needs to be emphasized because it is like bulleted copy or you just need to bold something. I'm not sure why this is not. Oh, there we go. Not. I don't know why this is pasting it in as an element here. That's really strange. Okay. Something is going crazy here. Copy. There we go. Okay. And then just make sure all your spacing in between is equal too. It's consistent, I should say, like in between your every subhead and your headlines. You could make these a little bit bigger, only because, oh, this one's all weird too. Just because, you know, you want it to stand out from, I don't know why this is going back, but that's very strange. Okay. There we go. Take out that extra space right here. There we go. So I would just make, you know, I don't know why this is, yeah, this is still doing that. Very, very strange. Okay. It's almost as if you outline the type or something. I don't understand. Okay, there we go. Yeah, something really weird is going on with your type here. Let's see what typeface this is. I'm going to retype this. You may want to do the same. So just retype this to fax instead of copying and pasting. There's something weird going on there with the, let's see, with how you place that in there. It should just be very easy to adjust. So I would just retype these in instead of doing what you just saw me do. I'm going to make it 14 point size. Same thing with this one, kayak rental info. It must have been how you place that in there. And then you can change the color if you need to do that too. Those look okay. That looks fine. So it's just your headlines. You'll need a retype in there. Okay. Same thing with your hours down here. You could do, you could just center all of this and then you won't have to change the bottom here. That might kind of look really, kind of makes sense there. Center this. Just get rid of.
Didn't get that. Could you try again?
Here's my series, just accidentally bumped. Yeah, just really strange. This is not, okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So just kind of balance this out a little bit better. And again, you could place, you have room down here to place the address. Okay. The next thing is, oh, here's your address. We'll pull that over here. And we'll center this. And we're going to make it that same blue. Just make it this deep dark blue. Oops, not that. I mean, that's why I can't change that. There we go. Take your type tool and change that to a blue that's going to work. You can even copy and paste this into your actual column as well. What I mean by that is just copy, have your cursor here and paste in. That way you kind of have it all together. Just make sure it's the same, Gill Sans, the same type font that you used. We'll do bold. And then of course you can make, say, the website a little bit bigger. You could even make the phone number bigger, play around with it. You could even put the logo here if there's room. Obviously it would be small. Here, let's go 11 point. So you could have like your, I'll bring this up a little bit, your logo, say small right here. Okay, on the flap, again, I would make sure, just like your cover, you could do something like this where you're bleeding it off on all sides. There's no copy on this side, so you may want to think about, I don't know, maybe providing some copy over there. Maybe it's the About Us section. You could redo that. So take maybe just this part out completely. Copy it. Now your picture is going to look a lot better than my picture here because I don't have your image, so that's why it's showing it's pixelated. Oops, what am I doing? Give me a copy box. There we go. I'm just going to make this whatever size, and then I'm going to match this up. Oh, I'm going to change this. Hold on 1 second. This is what I told you before, the text frame options. We want to set this back to 1. And we want this to be the same size of this box just for consistency purposes. So in your properties panel, when you select this box, you can see the width and the height right here. So it's 3.35. So we want to click on this one and do the same 3.35. And this is 8.1. That's not as important, but we'll just set this anyway. This is the height. We could always change that. And then the position is set at 1/2 inch. See the Y coordinate? So we want to do the same thing here. So it's set on the same baseline. This is the same baseline. And then what I would do is just make sure that all of your headlines and subheads are consistent. So this is American Typewriter bold at 14 points. So I would do the same thing here. Same with your copy. You have Gilsian 11. This should be Gilsian 11. And it could be regular. I'll go 14 points. Okay. And then if it's really hard to read, say, you know, this image is really dark, just take your rectangle tool and you can draw a nice little box kind of all around here. And you could fill it with white and give it, once you fill it with white, go to your properties panel and go to opacity and dial this down so that you can kind of see through it, but it has enough contrast. I would do like 60% opacity. Looks good. But you're gonna have to bring your copy forward. So select, move this just a little bit, select your copy, go to object, arrange, bring to front. Okay, so you might need to rewind this and kind of rewatch this. If it seems like it's still not dark, more, you know, there's not enough contrast, you can up it here. I would probably do maybe like 70, 75 in this instance. And now you can see it's a little hard to read here still. Maybe 80 would be good. Okay, that looks good. So you can kind of get the gist of what's behind there. And then what I would just do is make sure, and you could center this too, all of this information. Just make sure you have spaces after each of these. You can even make this a little bit bigger because it's, you know, make it semi-bold. Do something like that. See how it's nice and easy to read. You can add another image down here if that allows for space, which it looks like it does. So you can add it here. Just make sure you're giving enough margin space in the left and the right here. I'm just going to fill this so you can see what it would look like. I'm just going to fill it with blue. That would be an image. And then this would be a logo. So you kind of get the gist there. This would be a logo. Of course, I'm just going to fill it with this just for purposes of seeing it. And then your inside, go ahead and readjust this based on, do you remember those margin guides I gave you? Just pull these in so you have, this is not right on the edge of that fold. I would say pull it in about 1/4 inch from the fold. I'm sorry, not a quarter, like 1/2 inch. And just make sure whatever width you use for your text box, remember how I showed you how to do that, width and the height, 3.35 by 8.1 is what you have here. And you want to start at 5.5 Y coordinates. The height's not too much of a big deal. Just make sure, you know, you have it. I would just align it to this baseline down here. Okay, the next thing is just making sure everything is consistent. So we want to do American Typewriter. Remember we did that, just bold. 14. You could probably just keep these because they're subheads. Let's see what you did here. Whatever you did here is what you want to. Gilsian semi-bold italic. Yeah, so that's 10-point type. And this is 11. So I would just do 11. And then of course you could change the color, whatever color that you had that change to. So this was right. You just need to get it a little bit bigger. This is not right though. So change your body copy. You could do that in your style sheets if you know how to set that up, so that you're not doing it the way that I'm doing it here. And it's easier to change altogether. Yeah, let me show you that so you know. Okay, let's go up to your style sheets. You should be using your style sheets. You should be using your paragraph style sheets for your body copy. So like say this is your body copy. We want to go to paragraph styles and we want to click on the upper right hand corner and say new paragraph style. And we want to name this body copy. And everything should be set because you already have it in there. So your base, it's kind of telling you right here. Actually, let's set this to 14. 10-point type looks good. Okay. Now, in order for you to actually apply this, you have to assign it. So you have to go select this copy and you can assign it by clicking on body copy. Okay, same thing here. The only thing is we have to set the subheads too. Actually, let's set your headlines. Let's select the headline. New paragraph style. Let's choose headline. Sorry about my dog. That looks good. Click OK. So now you already have that set. You just hit headline. See how that easily transforms that. Just make sure all the other ones are set as such. And same thing with your body copy. If you need to change, say like the, oh, this is different. If you need to change the orientation, like say you want this copy and this copy to be centered, what you can do, let's copy this. We're just gonna make a copy. And we're gonna name this centered. And we're gonna go and do, where is it? General. Position. There it is. So under indents and spacing, you want to set your alignment to center. So that will be your new, instead of body copy, it'll be body copy centered. So we'll keep the same font. We'll keep the same font size. The only thing that's changing is the alignment. Name this subhead. I'm gonna make this, yeah, okay. So you have what you could do, because that's different than what this is. Let's make another subhead. Let's do subhead blue, small, so that, you know, you keep that style as well. So that if you want to go in here, subhead, oops, subhead blue, small is what we want. Interestingly, it looks like, okay, what we can do here, we can do left justified for this one, because I think that would just look better. So let's do left instead of centered. Under these, you know, it's okay to do it here because it's all centered, but here it's going to look better. Even if you have this centered, since it's smaller, it would probably work better left justified under here. Body copy set, body copy set. Okay. Just make sure you have all your subheads set. And all of your spacing is similar. I would take out the spacing after each subhead and just pay attention to keeping that consistent. Ooh, we missed one here. There we go. Okay. So see how much nicer that is? It's starting to really come together. Oh, we need a space here. You know, when you have weird breaks here, you could do a shift return to bump it down. Also, I would put a return here and maybe have this bold. And what I would do is just make another body copy. So we do body copy, bold, blue, or something like that. And then here, we'll just make it bold. And then the color, we'll make it blue. And in order to assign it to actually see the changes being made, you could click here. You can also do like option 8 in front of these if you want to do bullet points. It might be easier to follow. Do a space. So that would be option 8 if you're on a Mac, and a space. Bump that down and see how easy it is to, you can also change your headlines to blue. Just double click on here. If you want to change the color, watch what happens. This is what's nice about having style sheets is once you do that and say you have these assigned, this one's not assigned. It should change it all. See how these changed already automatically? So it all changed to blue. So that might be kind of a nice, might be kind of a nice thing to do. I would probably make this a different style guide or style sheet. All right. And then I'm going to pull this to the side here. Sorry if this is getting really long, this video here. This stuff, again, just make this column, 3.5 inches wide. And then align it at 0.5. It looks good. And then again, just make sure everything's consistent wise. Go to your paragraph styles, or I'm sorry, character style. What's your styles? And we're going to do body copy. Whale watching should be a headline here. I think there's a space after the headline. So there we go. Okay. So now all you have to do is really think about, how are you going to implement pictures in here where it's balanced and it looks visually interesting and you're not distorting them. So I would probably do something where, maybe it's reflective on the first page because you have some room down here. Pull this to that. So I just pulled it to that fold and I'm bleeding it off the bottom and the right. And then what I'm going to do is do an option drag off. It's like a copy paste type of a thing. And I'm going to pull this to the edge here. Okay. So see, they're the same size. And that way, sorry about my dog here. That way we are keeping consistency. And then when you're ready to center in that image square box, go up to object fitting, fill frame proportionately. And if you need to kind of adjust this a little bit more, just double click in there. Okay. And then I would change this to maybe something that, maybe another image that you have. And it doesn't have to be this image or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it so you kind of understand what that looks like. You can keep your background white, or you could put like an actual texture to this if you want. It might be kind of cool. You could even use, say, this image and paste it in the background here and just blow it up real big. Have it bleed out on all 4 sides. Send it back. Fit proportionately. And then again, give it an opacity, really, really light opacity. So you're just seeing the clouds. So about 20%, around 20-ish. It's kind of cool. And you can kind of see the ground here, but you're not disturbing the photos in any way. All right, so let me show you what it looks like without all of the guides here. So you kind of get an idea of what this is starting to look like. Okay, so again, logo, we'd have to center this a little bit better. Logo, you're gonna have your headline here too, and there's a headline that you need to place in here. I'm just gonna mark it with this blue square. So logo, headline, bleed off your focal point image. Make sure you're using your style sheets that I showed you. Keep it consistent. Be mindful of consistency with your headline, subhead, body copy. You can put the logo here in between this information. Just make sure you have enough white space in between. And so you don't have to have it real big here. It could be small because you already have it up here. Another image you can place here if you do kind of what I suggested you do with this. Just make sure you have enough opacity if you're doing a white, and make sure you have equal margin space around. You don't want your copy to say go to the edge here. And then you also want enough margin space in between here too. Inside, again, just keeping everything consistent. Every baselines are all lining up. Changing your style sheet so that some of your copy is bold. Subheads are consistent. Spacing is consistent. You can probably, I would probably just leave it like this. I think this space is okay. But I would definitely try something with your images like this, where you're keeping it the same size. And you can alternate this to be something else, obviously, that would focus on custom adventures. Maybe that sunset picture would look nice here. And then the background, just adding that texture in there, very light, is a nice way to keep it more dynamic. Okay, so hopefully this helps. I know this is a long video, but you can always rewind and kind of go at your own pace, and that'll get you set up for getting this where it needs to be. All right, thanks. Let me know if you have any questions.